A very good morning and welcome back. Welcome back. This is the first or the second conversation of the day. We do appreciate your company right here with us. As promised, we are going to talk about brand visibility. Are you an influencer? Do you want to get into that space? Are you an entrepreneur? Do you just want to build a brand and know how to make it visible? That's what we are talking about. And for this particular topic, we have an expert joining us. He is Brian Nyambego, and some of you know him already because he has quite a good following on his socials, and he's done so much. Well, he's very young. I wouldn't say his age, but I'll allow him to introduce himself. Karibu sana, Brian.
Thank you so much.
Glad to have you.
Pleasure being here. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.
So I know I've not introduced you properly, so tell us what are the titles that you hold.
Okay, my name is Brian Nyambego, a speaker, an author, and a personal branding trainer, but above all, a firstborn in a family of 6 kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'm happy to be here today.
Nice, interesting. So I wouldn't, before the show, we were talking about your age, and you do not look like your age.
Yeah.
You know, definitely how you've branded yourself is amazing. It's totally something. So I want you to tell us, how did your journey basically, how did you get to where you are? Because you have done so much. I have seen you, I know you're doing a campus tour currently. You have been doing talks to people, you know, you have been coaching to, you know, so how have you been doing all this?
Okay, I'd say that there's a quote I usually define myself with, and it says that when your dreams are too big, some things are too small. So too small, some things, the too small things are, for me, age at some point. That people take age as something that is limiting them to achieve what they want to achieve. So I'd say that I started this at a young age. At the age of 17, I'd already found my purpose, and it's something that doesn't happen to so many people. But you see, you can't compare your day one with day 1,000 of someone else.
Yeah.
There is someone who's found their purpose at 17, someone else at 18, someone else at 26, and probably let's use an example of the CEO of KFC. He started KFC when he was 60.
Imagine
so
that.
people find their purpose at probably different times or different ages. So everybody has a different pace in life. So for me, it was 17. That is when the journey started. And yeah, so far so good. I'm enjoying the journey, and you know, it will come with a lot of trials and tribulations. But the whole thing is you just keep going regardless. It doesn't matter what you're going through. What matters is, you see, for me, in the future, probably in the next 6, 7, or maybe 10 years, when you have kids, the quality of questions they will ask you will determine the quality of answers you will give them. And that is why I keep doing what I'm doing here.
Wow, amazing. I love that. How do you start? Okay, you discovered your purpose at 17. How did you do that? Was it the upbringing? Was it the exposure? What really brought you to that place?
Okay, I think for me it was the exposure that I got at a young age, because I used to listen to podcasts, read books at the age of, when I was in Form 1, Form 2. The first book I ever read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and I think that was the turning point of my life.
Wow.
And then I started reading books, listening to podcasts. And I think for so many people, they kind of limit themselves to a point where they're like, okay, I can't read such books because I feel like these are books for grown-ups. You know, when we're in high school, we have that mentality. But I think for me, I started exposing myself at a young age. And I remember that when I was in high school still, my dad really wanted me to be a pilot. He applied a couple of scholarships for me. 2 of them came by, but I still turned them down. And I was like, no, I can't go. Okay, he was frustrated. We went 2 months without talking to each other. But at the end of the day, I felt like, you see, we all have 2 dreams in life. You have your dream and your parents' dream. Your dream is something that you really want to achieve. Your parents' dream is that thing they tell you, hey, I want you to go and do this because this is marketable. You see, okay, the whole thing is there. The whole notion is still there. It exists. But for me, I decided to do something that I'd wake up every single day in my life and I'm happy doing it. Something that I can travel, be happy doing, Because I think that is when the greatest moments usually happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that points out to purpose. It's something that you find fulfillment in doing every other day. That someone told me it's something that you can literally do for free. You're okay with it.
You're okay with it.
Wow. And, you know, knowing that you stood your ground, you know, when you're sure of your purpose, then you're able to stand your ground. Let me move to now your brand. What is your brand about? Yeah.
My brand, I have like a mantra which says that if I'm going to help someone, or maybe if I'm going to talk to someone, by the time they've left, or maybe by the time I'm leaving that room, they have to have found meaning, purpose, and fulfillment in what they do. So those three things, that is where my brand starts from. And I can say that as a young person, the whole thing is, in my book, there is a quote that I've written that says that a formula of becoming a billionaire is by changing a billion lives.
Wow.
Formula of becoming a millionaire is by changing a million lives. So if you have to do something that has to help people to get meaning, purpose, and fulfillment, and do it freely out there, you will definitely become who you want to become at the end of the day. So it's like helping other people find their happiness, and on the way you find your own happiness. Yeah, and I think that is something that really many people are not focusing on. You see, our generation right now, they're focusing on, I'd say, you know, right now, it's like when you give a monkey 1,000 bob and a banana, the monkey will take definitely like the banana.
The banana.
And 1,000 bob can buy like 100 other bananas for it. So I think we are focusing on instant gratification, and that is where our generation is getting lost. And I think for me, that is now where my brand starts from, to help people realize that there is much more out there than what you think there is. Yeah.
Wow. And it is linked to other people, not yourself. Wow. I think I love this. This is already a masterclass, guys. This is good. Now, when we talk about brand visibility, what exactly are we talking about?
Brand visibility, I'd say there's a rule that I usually have, that I usually teach people in my masterclasses on personal branding. That is 10x. 10x is the first 10 meters, first 10 seconds, and the first 10 words. So first 10 meters is about how you're dressed. Because you see sometimes, as I told you yesterday, I went to Mount Kenya University, and then I asked a random question, how old do you think I am? Someone said 30, someone said 27. I was like, wow, I love that. So it's because of how, like the first 10 meters is about how someone sees you, because they will address you how you're dressed, and sometimes before they hear you, they must first see you. That's the first 10 meters. First 10 seconds about how bold you are. You might be in a good suit, good clothes, but now you're not bold enough to, you know, people are like, okay, you know, it's like when you see someone who goes to the gym.
Yeah.
You're like, you expect them to have like, maybe it's a guy, they have like good weight and all, and then you see them, you're like, you expect them to have like a deep voice or something. But now when they talk, you're like, no way, I wasn't expecting that. Same thing with when you're dressed well, you need to be bold enough. Now that is the first 10 seconds. First 10 words is about communication skills. Because I tell people that for you to change a conversation from 3 minutes to 3 hours, you have to know how to communicate your first 10 words. Your introduction has a lot of things. Can gain you trust, can gain you, like there's so many opportunities in a room that you just don't know. So it's about how you communicate really. So for me, I think that is where brand visibility starts from. And when people realize that there are so many people out here who really want the service that you're probably offering, the only thing is that you haven't started doing what you love doing. So I think for me that is where that's the foundation of brand visibility, where it starts from.
Okay. And that should cut across every sector, regardless of what someone is doing, because if that's how people will perceive you, then they need to perceive you right, right from the dressing. So in this context, if it's just you know, for someone who does corporate, you know, they would dress properly, but an entrepreneur would think, you know, I don't need to dress up for anything, really. I'm my own boss. But why is it important still, your image out there?
I think it's because of see, so many people would say that, hey, I don't need to be in a suit. I can just wear a shirt and a t-shirt and just walk out there freely. It's okay.
Because I'm Gen Z.
But okay, you know, one thing, I was in a meeting, or rather I was called to speak to 61 CEOs in Kempinski like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Wow.
And I realized one thing, that the moderator was like, okay, Brian, I know you don't usually wear suits like this. It's just that you've shown up. I was like, probably yes, but if you go to my socials, all you will see are suits. True. But I came to realize that as young people are like, I don't have to be in suits. But there is a whole thing when you show up for that opportunity, because you can't go to pitch an idea worth, let's say, 10 million to someone, or 1 million shillings to someone. And then the way you're dressed will even make them doubt you, like, okay, if I'm giving my money to this person, do I really trust them? So there is some aspects. And I feel like when I was in that room, because that is the richest room I've ever been in, with more than, there were like a couple of billionaires in that room. And I was like...
And 61 of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, if that is how they really perceive us as young people, as much as we really want to take this thing, we want to go into leadership, first of all, you see there's this thing called honor, like it just comes in different ways. If you need something, you need to show up for it. So yeah, and I think that is where young people are missing a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's the perception that needs to change among the young people. You've mentioned you need to shop in terms of the dressing, but you also need to be bold.
Yeah.
Look, speak like how you're dressed, right?
Yeah.
But some people lack this, and some people struggle with boldness. Imagine, someone just being in a room full of CEOs, billionaires. You feel intimidated. Then how are you able to build that confidence to that level?
Okay, I'll start with, what you're not changing, you're choosing. So if you know okay, you see, there are things that we can't change in life. Things like your nationality, things like your skin color.
Your tribe.
But there are things, and then your tribe again. But there are things you can change. Things like confidence. You can change and have confidence by attending an event, by attending a masterclass, by attending a program, by having a trainer. But now, most people are like, okay, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to invest in that. Okay, how do you expect to have confidence then? Okay. So I think what you're not changing, you're choosing. And the best way you can do something is by doing, like having a habit. Because I have a program where I'm teaching people. And so far I've gotten a chance to teach more than like 10 CEOs for the past 2 months on personal branding. And I realized that as much as they really have, the people who have money, but trust you me, they don't have the confidence to stand in front there and speak. They just want to be behind the scenes, but they really want to be up on that stage. So you see, such kind of people invest in themselves. They really want to learn. But now, many young people out here, they're like, okay, I can't pay 10K to be taught about like how to have confidence. Trust you me, that 10K will literally help you get much more than you think. The only thing is just you're limiting yourself a lot. Yeah.
Okay. So when we talk about investing in yourself, even when people say show yourself some love, that is actually it. By you paying for something that can build you, right? And confidence is key, even in an office setup, right? Just you going and facing your boss needs confidence. It needs,
so much.
It needs a lot of boldness. Okay, now still on visibility on the social platforms, like your social platform is big. On TikTok, you have a huge following, and on Insta, how did you build that?
Okay, I'd say first things first. You see, we never want to be consistent enough. And again, okay, let's use the art of compound interest. It states that if you do something in a small way, at the end of the day, you keep doing it every single day, it amounts to be something bigger. So most of the people out there really want something, but they're not going for it. In terms of if it's on socials, how much time are you putting out there? Maybe it's content. Personally, on my TikTok, I post at least 3 videos every single day, 3 to 5 videos.
3 videos a day?
Yeah, 3 to 5. Sometimes I do even 6.
Wow. So
you see, that is the whole thing I decided to do before the year started. I was like, okay, for the next 365 days, I'm going to be posting 3 videos every single day. So those are like 1,095 videos. So that was a goal I set. And the goal was 1,095 videos. So I have to be consistent enough to achieve that goal. So the consistency is really what counts. That every day when I go for my walks in the evening, I have to do 3 or 4 videos and post the next day. And I think that is something that people are not willing to do, like paying the price. People are just waiting for followers to just show up from nowhere. Like you have to do the work. Yeah. And I think that is what I've been doing for the past couple of months. And it's really, the whole thing is, if your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your habits become your actions, and then your actions become your reality.
Wow.
But now people are stuck at the thoughts and beliefs. They're not going directly to, changing them to words, to habits. Yeah, because a habit becomes a habit after 21 to 30 days. And people are just like, okay, you do it the first day, second day, third day, and then you're like, no, I'm tired.
Yeah,
I'm
you're not seeing any difference. This is a struggle, let me sleep.
And they just don't realize it's just like going to the gym. You see, going to the gym really means that you won't see the results on the second day. You'll see the results on the 6th month, maybe the 7th month. And people are just stuck at I want instant gratification, like right now. If I'm doing something right now, I want the results right now. They forget that it doesn't happen like that. Yeah.
Okay. That is incredible. So consistency is key if you want to build a presence in 100%. The online space. And how did you decide, again, to do the videos, the selfie videos as you walk, like what was the motivation?
I think the whole thing was, okay, there's this day, you know, I was used to doing videos while standing. Okay, you also need to realize or maybe know what your audience loves. Because you see, many people usually do things, but they feel like it's not working out. Maybe okay, for me was, I used to do videos while seated, and then I felt like, okay, it was the same content I was offering. So before I used to do videos on leadership, mental health, etc., all over. But there's this day I do a video, I'm from a run in the morning, so we have a run club. So I'm from the run club in the morning, and then I do a video while walking. Then it goes crazy viral. And I was like, okay, wow, what was I thinking about personal branding? Now I tried doing another, I tried doing another one again, and then still it went viral. So I was like, okay.
Still
So
on the same topic.
Same topic, personal branding. So I was like, okay, as much as I'm doing my videos on personal branding, I need to do them while walking. Like I need to do them maybe after my run in the morning. And so when I kept doing that every now and then, people got used to me. So you see on TikTok, people are used to me wearing t-shirts and capes.
Yeah.
Now, when you go to Insta, it's a different image. So you need to really, so you need to realize that what your audience really wants on one platform and the other, it's kind of different.
Totally different.
TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, so different. But our generation is like, LinkedIn is for serious people. Instagram has like wants quality. TikTok wants consistency. So people just get lost in between. But I think you can just look for a way on how you can manage all of them. It's just that you need to find your thing, you know, and how you do it in a unique way. So for me, a unique way is realizing really how to record my content on TikTok, my content on Instagram, as I go,
Okay, because I wanted to ask you, how did you, decide to have something very different on Instagram and on TikTok, and they're both working for you, you know?
Sometimes when someone finds me in town in a suit, and maybe they used to see me on TikTok, they're like, no, this is not you, it's unlike you. But someone who's used to me on Instagram, and they go on my TikTok, they see like, no, it's unlike you. You see, the whole thing remains that it's my name, it's my brand, that is it. As much as I'm sharing I'd say like, we usually, okay, at our run club, we say for the heart and vibes. So you just do it for a good purpose, but now you can do it in different ways.
Wonderful. Because I wanted to ask again, for people who have different brands, that they want to, okay, you're the same brand, you're the owner, but you have different things that you're kind of selling out there. So how do you find a way of making that work for you?
Okay.
So
I'd say that sometimes you might, that is why when I teach people about vision board writing, I tell them that there is your personal life and there is your professional life. So you need to balance both of them. It's just like having two slices of bread. If you want to put them together, you have to bring in peanut butter, maybe Blue Band or something like that. And I think that is the only way you can stick them together, and that comes with commitment and consistency in between. So your personal life is the things you want to do before the year ends. Same thing to your brand. You might have your personal brand, your name, and you might have now your organization, your company, something that you're running. So the whole thing you need to realize is that your name needs to go beyond your company name. And then I think with that, when people see you up there, they know what you're representing. For example, okay, people don't usually know what I am doing until they see me on that stage. Then they'll be like, okay, so what does Brian do? What does Brian run? And all that. So I think it comes with that you need to take your brand name to the next level, to a point whereby people now will be like, okay, so what do you do? What do you run? Because, okay, sometimes that is really what creates who you want to be or what you want to have. Because there are three questions in life: what do you want to do, be, and have? So yeah, it all starts within yourself.
Within yourself. So your brand name should be higher than
I think for me that really works, and for many other people that I look up to, it really has worked out for them. Because when I look at someone like Y254, it's someone like I look up to, and his name has gone beyond his company name, my growth fund. When I look at Tony Elumelu, the president of UBA Bank, his name has gone beyond the company name. So I think when I look at such kind of people, I'm like, okay, so I'm on the right path. It also depends on who you look up to. When you look at Richard Branson, the CEO of Virgin, like, he has probably like 4 million followers on Instagram, but the company has like 400,000 followers. So you realize there's a difference, that his brand has gone ahead of the company name. So yeah, Because
Okay.
people keep asking themselves, so what does Richard represent? What does Vusi represent? What does Tony represent? Because when you see him out there, you see the company. Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. I believe it answers questions to many people.
Mm-hmm.
For the people that have, they have numbers on the social media, especially for, let's say, entrepreneurs running businesses, but the numbers do not really translate to sales. What does that mean? Like, what do you need to check to make sure that,
Yeah.
because having numbers shows that you're visible, I
Yeah, yeah,
believe,
sure.
but why does it not translate to sales? What is it that they're doing wrong?
I think most people, okay, I did a video on TikTok and I was telling people that most of the people are focusing on the quantity instead of the quality. And when I was in Karura the other day, I was just doing my morning run. Then I found this lady. She's walking, but she's walking with weights. And I was like, okay, so it's not the number of steps that you're taking, it's the weight of the steps that you're taking.
Wow.
It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality that you have. So I think most of the people usually, yes, we have a lot of followers, but we don't focus on the quality of followers that are in those large numbers, huge numbers. Because for me, there's something I call a funnel. A funnel is, on my program, I run a program called the Panther Community, where I usually teach people on personal branding, communication skills, and public speaking. All those people that are on that program, I funnel them from TikTok, for example.
Okay.
You see, and I think many people don't usually want to, because, okay, you might be a CEO, but do you have, because when you look, there's some CEOs I know who have mentorship programs and they're teaching young guys on how to scale up their businesses and all that. But there are people who just have the followers for the purposes of having followers and they're doing nothing about it. So I'd say that you need to funnel your quality followers and be like, okay, start something, you know, start something that is, I can say, empowering and educating other people. As I usually say in my book, that it's about each one, teach one. You have a skill that can help someone. For example, there's a kid out there who's probably like so good at speaking,
Yeah.
but the only thing they need is confidence. So through my program, they're going to be confident enough to help thousands of other young people, or maybe other people out there. But the whole thing is, if only I decide to start something that can help them. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Still on social media, how do you measure the growth that you have on your platform,
Yeah.
and so that you can make plans to, you know,
Yeah.
you have a plan?
I think in terms of growth, you need to start with self again, because I tell people that before it happens in the physical, it first has to happen in the spiritual. Spiritual, I mean your mind, your heart, and your soul. Because you can't give me what you don't have, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, Valentine's was the other day, and I think so many people, okay, there are people who bought flowers, there are those who bought flowers, but you know, you can't give someone what you don't have. That I can't treat someone with, let's say, 2,000, 3,000 shillings, and I have never gotten to a point where I have treated myself. That means that I'm selfish to myself. So growth starts from within yourself before now you go out there to help or maybe empower other people. The only way you can measure growth is by realizing that, okay, you see, once you have something, I tell people,
Yeah.
never get to a point whereby you have a glass half full and then you want to share it with 20 other people. And I tell, let people take from your overflow. Overflow means that you have more than enough. Now you can give
to
to
them.
thousands or maybe hundreds of other people. So growth is when it starts from self, that you know that, okay, I think now I'm good to go. I can help other people. That is
Alright.
how you measure your growth, starting with. Now, once you've gone out there to help other people, the whole thing you should ask yourself is, you see, when, as a public speaker, for example, I've gone to that stage, I've spoken. Now, the whole thing is, how will I get the feedback? Like maybe 2 kids will come, 3 people, maybe if it's a masterclass in Nairobi, 2 or 3 or 4 people will come and be like, Brian, you've really helped me. Maybe someone 2 months down the line, they'll be like, hey, I attended one of your masterclasses and man, I have changed completely. My
Wow.
posture, my body language, how I'm speaking in front of people, I have changed completely. Like for me, that is growth. No, for me, I don't measure growth in terms of like numbers. I measure growth in terms of, you know, the impact that I've given to people, maybe the impact that I've shared to people. That is how I measure my growth. That maybe this time I've helped like, let's say, 3 people, and 3 months down the line, 4 months, I have like hundreds of testimonials, people saying that. Because I usually go to my comments on TikTok and I'm like, wow, there is someone who doesn't need to take a whole masterclass. You just come to TikTok. The choice of videos they choose to watch, they can help them completely. And I'm like, that is what really I measure growth with. Like going to the comments and looking at who's changed through watching my videos. Now the impact.
So you see that your content is actually doing something out there. It's not, it's actually being received basically.
100%.
All right. Some people, even with brand visibility, there's some people who want to build a brand, they have the issue of self-doubt that many people usually have. Now, how do they overcome it?
Okay, I'd say self-doubt starts with the smallest things, whereby, you see, everything starts with self. It's only that people never realize that. You see, when you go outside looking for outside validation, that means that inside you haven't accepted who you are first.
Okay.
That you go outside there trying to tell people. It's like, you know, when you've probably gone somewhere to speak and then you go asking your friend, hey, how did I do it? Was I good?
Didn't we all do that?
Yeah, we all did that. So you were like, you didn't believe in yourself enough. But when you believe in yourself enough, you're like, okay, I know I did great, but let me just go and get feedback. Like, hey, did I do great? That's it. But when you're like, hey, did I do great? What do you think about it? And now when someone gives you the feedback about how you did about it, you're like either disappointed or you're like, okay. Now you get more on, I'd say, it's like you keep on asking people about how you did instead of going and sitting down. I usually say, usually have a hot conversation. Hot means humble, open, and transparent. Just put your gadgets.
Come again with that?
Hot means humble, open, and transparent. So just sit down, be humble with yourself, be open, be transparent, and ask yourself, okay, how did I do on that stage? It's like the whole thing in communication skills, that is ethos, logos, and pathos. Ethos is about putting yourself in someone's shoes, empathy, and asking yourself, you know, if I was the listener who was listening to myself speaking, you know, how would I, what would, So belief starts from self. So believe in yourself first before anyone else believes in you. And that is how you can, that is the best way you can end self-doubt. And many people go out there looking for outside validation because they don't believe in themselves first. So I think that is the best way you can start before you go outside. Everything starts from within. Anything you do in this world.
It starts from within. So you need to believe in yourself before going out to seek for feedback, not validation, different things. Again, okay. You do personal branding, and you've mentioned something that you also teach about is the vision board. So how can you use the vision board trying to build your brand?
I'd say this, that when people are doing vision board mostly, the first thing I tell people is just be ready to be committed and be consistent on what you're doing. So if your vision board is in terms of, let's say, the next 1 year, because I've asked people, okay, when the year started, there are people who wrote vision boards, there are those who had New Year resolutions. Those are two different things.
Tell us the difference.
The whole thing is, I was in a class yesterday in Mount Kenya University, and I asked them, who had New Year resolutions when the year started? I think around 50 people raised up their hand. Then I asked, okay, so who wrote down their vision board? 3 people did. And I was like, okay, wow. See, the whole thing with the vision board is like beliefs and thoughts and words. Like, you have beliefs, you have thoughts. Now, translating them into words becomes hard to some people. So there are people who leave it halfway. You might have New Year resolutions, but you have to write them down. You might have New Year resolutions, but you have to go, if it's a vision board, there are people who, for me, my vision board is I have to write it down. For other people, it's images. So it really depends on which works for who. And I feel like so many people leave it at the thoughts, you know, your beliefs, your thoughts. People don't translate them to words, you know, to habits. And that is now what I tell. To habit means consistency and commitment. So if you have a vision board that you're writing, put it in, let's say, 12 months, or maybe 1 year, 12 months, 6 months, down to 3 months, 2 months, 1 month, and then 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week. Like, because, okay, you
breaking
see,
it down.
Breaking down every single day to 7 days, 6, 3, 2 days, 1 day, 24 hours, 6 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, down to 1 minute or even 1 second, because you see, the choice of words I decide to use on this interview will determine the impact I'm going to give out there, whether negative or positive. So every second or whatever you're doing takes you closer to what you want to achieve. But so many people, it's like the rule of 100. I tell people that if you want to be consistent in your craft, put in 18 minutes every single day for like the next 365 days, you'll realize you'll have put in 100 hours in your craft. But it's something so small that so many people don't usually see. So 18 minutes every single day can make you give your craft 100 hours in a year. So imagine if you do much more than that, it will be even much more greater. So if you want 200 hours, you need to do like 36 minutes. every single day.
Which is,
I mean, it's so small.
it's so small,
Yeah,
you know.
you can do like, if it's reading books, an example of, you know, every day, just because we're not usually like, let's say, busy for like all the 24 hours. Sometimes you're only busy for like, you can you can usually spare 1 hour to just do something that you love doing. But the whole thing is we just put ourselves to be so busy to a point we forget that we can put aside some time. If it's reading books, just do like 5 pages, 6 pages every day, and you mark you, like by the end of the week, you'll have read like a whole book. So keep doing that every single time, here and there, and you'll realize that you'll become better at it. Yeah, and I think that is something that many people are not willing to do.
Yeah. Again, now still with a vision board, for some, they usually say it becomes overwhelming at some point because you have this, then it becomes a pressure on you. I have not done this. I was supposed to do this by end of this week. I was supposed to do this by January. You know, so it becomes a pressure point. How do you not let it become negative, something positive to be negative?
I'd say this, that if you let a weed grow so much, it looks like a plant, that you confuse both of them. So same thing happens when we're writing our visions. That you see, most of us are just letting the inconsistency. Like probably you've been like, okay, I'm gonna be consistent for the next 7 days. You do it today, tomorrow. The other day you're like, no, I'm gonna just chill a bit. I'm gonna do it in the evening. Then the other day you realize that it keeps on becoming. It's like, you know, the plant that you want to have, you need to remove the weeds. The weeds are the inconsistency. But if you let the inconsistency grow so much, it kind of looks like the plant, which is consistency, that you confuse the two of them. Now that is what most of us usually do. Like you confuse inconsistency with consistency to a point whereby you don't do the videos anymore, and then you're like, it's like normal to you.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll do it next week. Next week comes, you're like, I'll do it next month. Next month, it's like a whole year. You come to realize that you didn't achieve anything in your vision, but it's because I think you confuse a lot on a weed and a plant. And that is the best way I can put it, that people need to stop confusing those two things. That if you have written a vision down, you need to be, and also another question is, how urgent is that thing that you've written down? If you attach urgency to what you are doing, it becomes easier for you to achieve it. Because most people write things down, but I usually ask them, how urgent is it? It's like, you see, when you need something urgently, you'll make that call.
You'll do it.
You'll be like, hey, I need something. Could you please, show up? I need this and this. Because it's so urgent to you. And those people will show up because of the urgency. Same thing with our goals and our visions. If it's so urgent to you, you will achieve it. Trust you me. But so many people are like, not attaching urgency to what they are doing. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, still on maintaining and building brands, what is the place of having mentors? Because I know you associate with people like Robert Burale, Pastor T, I believe. What is the place of mentors?
I'd say this, that the day you disconnect with the source, that is when everything ends. Because you see, it's like when you disconnect with God, right? When you disconnect with God, like you realize that, or maybe most of us, sometimes when we need things, we go to God. But now when we get those things, we get too reluctant to go back to Him. So I'd use that from a perspective of mentorship. Mentorship will always continue. It's like a continuous process of learning. That I'm not just gonna stop because I learned a thing or two. No, I'm gonna keep going because this person is ahead of me probably 10, 15 years. And I can say someone like Robert Burale, and I really honor him so much because he's someone who's played a huge role in my life. So the smallest things like having a mentor, you might think they're so small, but they're not. And sometimes it's about going back to them, whether you have done so much, you've achieved so much, still go back to the source. Because if you don't have something that connects you back to the source, I think that is where now the disconnect happens. That you're like, okay, I have so much money, I have so much of this, I can't go back to seek mentorship because I feel like I've gone so high. You see, I tell people that in life, you need 3 people. You need someone who's gone ahead of you, someone who's around you, and someone who's below you. Someone who's ahead of you channels something that you don't have. Someone who's around you gets it, but they're like still trying to figure it out. They're like, you're trying to figure it out together. Like, how should we do this and this? So if you're getting, let's say, mentorship from above, you're telling them, okay, I learned this from this person. I think that this can help you. Now that is someone you're trying to work things out with. And there's someone who's below you, someone who's looking up to you. And they're like, hey, like, how can I do this? So you have, it's like when you ask this question, what would you tell a younger you? So that is a younger you now. You need to have a younger you, someone who's around you and someone who's ahead of you. And I think that is the importance of mentorship, that you need to keep connecting with the source. Because someone who's gone ahead of you 20 years or 10 years, they have a lot more wisdom than you do. So yeah.
So it makes even your journey shorter. You know,
Yeah.
what you'd have taken 5 years to achieve, you can take 1 year because you have someone who's ahead of you.
Definitely that. And I think that is something I tell people, that sometimes mentorship can help you, you know, the journey that was supposed to take you like 10 years to achieve, or maybe something that, because you see, one thing with mentors, this is what they do. Because I know there are rooms that Burale has spoken highly about me.
Wow.
And they received me in a big way because of his name, because of how he spoke about me. And that is something that was going to probably take me 20 years, maybe 15 years, or maybe 10 years to be in that room. But he made it so easy for me to get into that room within a month, or maybe within like a few weeks. So that is another aspect of it, that maybe if I go somewhere and I mention your name, people will be like, oh, I know her. I think, yeah, why not? That's it. Because people usually really trust someone, maybe through someone else. So, and I think that is the whole aspect of mentorship and why it starts from.
Wow,
Yeah.
I love that. What about people around you? Because you've mentioned above you, around you, and below you, people that you speak to. But those around you, how important is it to have, you know, because you are the people that you're around.
Yeah.
So how important is it to be around people that actually build you and people that have the same vision or similar vision to you?
I'd say it's very important to have people who are around you, and now also determines with who is around you, because you see, your environment determines who you will become. Because I don't know if you've had this quote that says that, show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Absolutely.
So if you show me your friends, I'll be like, wow, I know where you're going, I know where you're headed. So people around you can be people who really, not like really inspire you, but also people who really build you in one way or the other. People who keep telling you that as much as it's hard, we'll achieve it, we'll get there. Because I have my circle. Sometimes when business is not okay, we'll just sit down and laugh about it, and we'll be like, hey, we're going to achieve it regardless. 2 months down the line, we are on the right track, and then we're like, oh, remember what we said? We're still going to do it. Because now these are the same people who you're going to grow with, become with, and do with. And I believe that that is an aspect that is very, very key in our lives. Because, okay, the spaces, okay, most of my friends are people who are like way ahead of me in terms of age. Like, that is, like, I have friends who are like 10 years, 50, and we call each other's friends. And I'm like, okay, why am I here? But sometimes I need to just remind myself that, hey, you're just a Gen Z, stay with your fellow Gen Zs and just, you know, be normal at some point. Because the people who usually think that you're abnormal by doing things that someone who's way ahead of you is doing. Because when I started off, people were like, no, you're doing things that someone who's way older than you is supposed to do. And I was like, yeah, it's better to be abnormal. But again, I need to remind myself that I am normal by sitting around people who are thinking the same way I'm thinking.
Yeah.
You know, probably like doing the things that I normal, like a Gen Z is supposed to do. And then now people below me remind me that, okay, hey, I need to go and mentor them and talk to them and tell them that, hey, as much as you need to achieve this, you need to take such kind of steps. So yeah.
Wonderful. Now, is storytelling a part of building your brand?
100%. Storytelling comes with a lot. I'd say for me, personally, storytelling has been one of the greatest things that I have used. Okay, for example, let me use some people in the country who are really doing an amazing job. Someone like Abel Mutua. Abel is using storytelling as an aspect to bring people together.
Sure.
Abel is using storytelling as an aspect to build his brand. Abel is using like, it's something that is helping him left, right, center, bring people together, his family, creating a lot of partnerships and collaborations with people. You know, the reason he's able to gather 6,000 people is because of storytelling. And I believe that that is because that is one aspect that people really don't get. Okay, you see, storytelling can be also in different aspects. Can be through your personal story. For example, for me, wherever I go, I keep advocating for when your dreams are too big, some things are too small, right? Because I know where I've come from. I started when I was 17. Right now, the things I've been able to achieve at my age is because of the grit, the commitment, the consistency that I'll put in every single day for me to get here. So I think the story that I tell determines whether I'm going to change how someone thinks or not. You see, the whole thing with storytelling, I usually tell people that in communication skills, there is ethos, logos, and pathos. Ethos is put yourself in someone's shoes. Now, logos is more of use logic. And Now, lastly, pathos is emotions. Because for me, my mom passed away when I was in high school. I was in Form 3.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, my mom was one of the people that I really looked up to. She was a businesswoman, and I'd say that she really played a major role for me becoming who I am today, because she kept telling me, once you're done with school, I'll help you with this and this. And so such kind of a story, I'd say that sometimes it's so emotional, yes, but I know there's someone out there who needs to hear it for them to keep going.
They connect with
Yeah,
your
they
story.
connect with my story. And I feel like so many people are hiding stories that can heal people. You know, as much as I'm a public speaker, I'm a personal branding trainer, that doesn't mean that because there are people who are walking out here with scars, with wounds. You know, they're wounded in many ways.
Sure.
The only way they can get healed is through the stories that I tell them, through my story. So storytelling is a key aspect that many people don't really focus on, and they need to focus on that. When you're, whether it's at a corporate, wherever you are, just tell your story, be proud of who you are. And the day you're willing to let out because you see, okay, so many people out here are not willing to be vulnerable.
True.
Yeah, and the day you're willing to be vulnerable is the day you will see the change and the impact that you can do to the world.
Yeah.
But many people are like, hey, I can't be vulnerable. I can't tell you.
I can't
guys.
tell you nothing.
I have friends who usually say that, hey, I can't be vulnerable. Like, I can't. And the day I made them be so comfortable and they were so vulnerable is the day something like a shift happened in their lives. Yeah.
And I think it's very powerful from even the spaces that I've been, you know, I've seen people usually open up to someone who's opened up to them. So it creates that vulnerability.
It does.
The safe kind of vulnerability, and then people receive you better,
Yeah.
and whatever you're telling them better because they can relate to you. Okay, wonderful. And now, still on brands, and we've talked about now brand visibility. Do you at some point come to a place where it's, I don't know how to put it, but brand awareness, where people just to know you, you know, like you've mentioned Vusi, he's known, you know, you mentioned Vusi, everyone knows him as a public speaker, especially in the entrepreneurial space. So do you get to a point where people just know you with that?
Okay, I'd say that it's a journey of growth. It's a journey of commitment. It's a journey of consistency, because it usually gets to a point whereby people really will know you. People will know what you're doing. But the whole thing is, you see, we focus more on the glory than the story. That is what many people do. That we focus on the glory more, that, okay, what has this person achieved? What has he done? But we never ask ourselves, how many days did he go without eating? How many days did he go without not putting in the consistency? How many days? So we usually ask ourselves, how has he been, like, how is he up there, instead of how has he been able to, like, you know, the process. The process is so tough. And when you're ready to ask yourself such questions, because as I said again, that when you're willing, the quality of questions that you're willing to ask yourself will determine the quality of answers that you will get back. Because if you're willing to focus on the glory, you will never achieve so much. But if you're willing to focus on the story, you'll achieve more than extraordinary. Just like the same way there is normal, it's like there is good, better, and best. So it depends with which you want to become. Same thing with life. Life, you can either decide to be successful or be great. Someone like Vusi, I'd say he is a great person. Because greatness comes with a lot. Greatness comes with giving up a few things. Greatness comes with sacrifices. And also with greatness, you need to realize that greatness doesn't have patterns. Success has patterns. Success is finish class 8, finish form 4, you know, finish campus, follow the steps as they are. That when you're 21, you can't build a house, you can't buy a car. When you're 22, you can be a CEO. You have to be 35 for you to be, you get? Those are patterns that are there. But now greatness means someone can be 21 and buy a car, buy a house. Someone can be 21 and still do a lot of great things. And the people will be like, okay, wow, how old are you? Sometimes that will confuse people because they're not used to that. That is why sometimes I'll get into spaces and they'll be like, how old are you again? Because they're confused with that from a point of, no way, like such a young person doing such things, because they're focused on success a lot instead of greatness. And I'd say that for you to be at that same point in life, you need to focus on greatness, not success. Because greatness doesn't have patterns. That is why in the country, probably you see a young person who has money at a young age, you're like, no, they're doing something illegal. I mean, why don't we believe that someone young can like have...
Actually just have money and have a mansion.
Like it's normal. You know, people usually take it, it's like it's so hard, which is not. The whole thing is the way we are, probably I can say the way we are engineered in our minds, that we have limitations. You put limitations to yourself. Because sometimes, you know, that is why, again, I usually sit with people around me to just hear the conversation. Sometimes I'll hear them say, you know, when I'm 30, I want to buy my first car. When I'm 40, or maybe someone will say like 40. I'm like, 40? Okay.
Why?
For you, if that is success, that is okay. For me, that is not. So that is why, again, when you sit around people around you, you can change how they think and tell them, hey, you know what? These things are achievable. You can do them. The only thing you need to do is just change your habits, change the way you do things. Like, just change the way your mind is, you know, wired, that you can't achieve this at this age. No,
Okay.
because most people come from backgrounds where they're not exposed enough. So they get to think that these things are so hard to achieve, which is not so. The only thing is the willingness that you have from your heart, your mind, and your soul to achieve them. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. It's really in the perception and the willingness to
Yeah.
actually achieve them. All right. So tell us about, before we conclude, about the program that you offer.
Okay, so I run 3 programs. I run one-on-one trainings where I get to teach people who probably like are running companies, etc., etc. And then I also run a VIP program where I usually onboard only 20 people every 6 months. Now I take them through personal branding, public speaking, and communication skills, because these are 3 things that really align. Because for you to be a good communicator,
Yeah.
you also, after you become a good communicator, you need to become a good public speaker. After you become a good public speaker, then now you need to create a brand that now speaks out there for people. You know, sometimes I tell people that speak for the voiceless. You don't know what someone is going through. Speak for the purposes of them healing, for the purposes of them becoming better. And that is what I'm doing as a personal branding trainer. And I also have a community that is called the Panther Community, where I get to teach people, like every cohort I take around 100 people. Yeah, and I teach them on the same thing again, but now it depends with the timelines. One-on-one trainings last for 3 months, the VIP program lasts for 6 months, and the Panther community lasts for 12 months. Yeah, and that is why I keep doing what I'm doing, to help other people find their purpose in life. Yeah.
For the one-on-one trainings, you've mentioned people who run companies.
Yeah.
What exactly do they get from the training?
So I think one thing with the one-on-one training is that you get to learn so fast. Okay, it can be anyone, yes. You get to learn so fast because you see there is an experience. Okay, for the Panther community, it's like a whole group, right? So sometimes, for example, in this room, we're like so many people, right?
Yeah.
And then you will be so shy to ask something because you'll be like, these guys are going to judge me, right?
Yeah.
But one-on-one, you won't be shy saying it. You'll be straightforward. You'll be like, hey, I'm going through this and I think we need to sort it ASAP. And that is how growth starts. Like, for the one-on-one, growth is so easy than the Panther. That is why you realize that the timelines are like different. The one-on-one, someone grows within 3 months. Panther community, someone grows within 12 months. There's someone who won't be vulnerable on the first month. They will be vulnerable on the 9th, maybe the 10th month of the year. And they'll be like, okay, I think now I've been in this class like for some good time, and I think it's time for me to be vulnerable and tell you what I'm going through. Yeah, and I think now you can help me in my journey of becoming confident, my journey of speaking so well. Yeah, and I think that is why now the timelines are different. So for the, let's say, one-on-ones, can be anyone, yes, but specifically I'd say CEOs, managers, can be, yeah, it can be anyone.
Okay.
But now for the VIP program is for people who have startups, and let's say that someone who started their journey. And now for the Panther community, someone who started from scratch completely. Yeah.
Wonderful. For the startups and entrepreneurs, different from the CEOs, yes. Do they, what is usually their need? Is it still communication, putting out the ideas in a simple way?
I'd say most of them it's not communication, because they already have startups that are up and running. So the whole thing is, how can I stand in front of that crowd and tell them about my idea? Because I've had this idea for the past, like, let's say 3-4 months, and now, yes, I've been running the whole company, but I think the fact that you're able to stand in front of people and tell them about what you're doing becomes so hard. And also the fact that you want to create a great brand out there for people to see it, for it to be visible. Now that is where the problem comes in. Yeah.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
great. Now that is the training.
Yeah.
You also have there's something else that you have.
Masterclasses.
Masterclasses. What's the difference between the trainings and the masterclasses?
So for the masterclass is something that happens once in a while. So let's say every month we do host masterclasses in Nairobi. Like next week we're having a masterclass with my friend and brother Muli. So it's gonna be in town. So Muli is so good at teaching people on purpose. I'm good at teaching people on personal branding. So it's going to be a personal transformation masterclass. So that is something that happens every month, once in a while. So for someone who is available in Nairobi, maybe once a month, that will be specifically for them. For the trainings, is someone who's available to, you know, has the willingness, as I usually say. Like, you need to have the willingness to learn and to go to the next level. So yeah, I'd say that is the difference. But we're going to be doing it, I'm going to be doing it personally across the country. I've done Nairobi. I did Nairobi 2 weeks ago. I did Mombasa last week. This week I'm going to Nakuru. Then next week we're going to do it in Nairobi again. As I keep going, and then before the end of the year, I want to do at least 12 countries in Africa to just train on personal branding. Yeah.
Wow. Wonderful, wonderful. I love it. And it's amazing what you're doing at such a young age. You know, you're actually speaking from experience, you know. For the year long, the Panther community, how often are the meetups for the class?
So for someone to grow, I think it usually has to be so often. So that is why every Saturday from 1 p.m. to like 3 p.m. we get to meet, and I get to take them through. Like last month, I took them through communication skills. This month is public speaking. Next month is personal branding. Then we go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, what have you done? What haven't you done? Then we kick off again. So that is majorly it for the Panther community, that we get to meet every Saturday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. For the one-on-one trainings, we get to meet once a week as well for 2 hours. That means that in a month we meet like 4 times. Yeah. So for the VIP training, that is I call it the VIP program, we get to meet at least online 8 times a month.
8 times.
Yeah. So there's a difference in all the programs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quite interesting. How can people plug into that if they want to sign up? How do they do it?
They can just reach out to me across all platforms. Brian Nyambego on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, LinkedIn, all across. Yeah.
Okay, that's easy. You know that. I think is that part of building a brand also.
Yeah.
Just having one consistent name
all across. But so many people will realize that probably on Instagram, my name is Brian Nyambego, and then I go on TikTok, I write a different name. So I think people will be like, so who's this guy? Like they're confused.
Yeah.
When someone tries to search up on you, they don't find you. So they're like, okay, let me just leave it at that. But if you have your name consistently across all platforms, it becomes so easy for people to access you. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Brian. I want you to give us your final thoughts on this whole conversation. If someone was to take a few things from this, what would you want them to take?
Okay.
You can look at the camera directly and speak to them.
Okay, I'd say this, that one thing you need to realize in life is, my mantra is live, love, laugh. Live your dream, because there's a quote that says, don't ask yourself what the world needs, ask yourself what makes you come alive, then go do that. Because what the world needs are people who have come alive. So my question to you is, have you come alive? Are you doing something that you love doing? That is with live. With love comes peace, comes perfection. That when you love people, when you love the thing that you're doing, comes peace and comes perfection. That at your workplace you won't, you know, go up and about trying to tell people, or maybe trying to, you know, you're struggling with your mental health and all. Yeah, and then lastly, laugh. It's never that serious. Take yourself out at some point, you know, eat something, you know, buy yourself lunch, buy yourself dinner, and be happy about the milestones that you've had. Now, that is my mantra: live, love, and laugh. And now, to wrap up the whole conversation, is to tell you that there's nothing that is so big to achieve. The only thing is the limitations that you're putting in your mind. So keep doing what you're doing, and remember that from me to you, I'm so proud of you. But keep the commitment and the consistency for you to achieve what you want to achieve. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Great. What a way to close it. Thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you as well. Really appreciate it.
We appreciate your company here. We hope to have you again.
Thank you.
Soon.
Looking forward to that.
All right, great. Before we come to a close on this conversation, we are done with the conversation, but I want to sample a few of the comments. Let me start with a question we had asked you earlier on social media, which is a bit away from the conversation that we've just had. Tulikuwa tunakuuliza, unafaa kwanza kuitisha inheritance yako at what age? In the context of this conversation, you are supposed to get your own. But let me see what you have to say. We have Rio the King saying 45, Abuja saying 18, Haron saying 20, Ben Davis saying, which inheritance? Once umesomeshwa, learn to build your own empire. I think I agree with this. You should learn to build your own empire. We have different opinions. Samuel says, inheritance gani na ya wapi. So some people are for it, some people are not. Oliver Chelsea anasema watu wafanye bidii. Inheritance inafaitishwe na watoi wako. I mean, wajukuu, your kids, and not the other way around. Interesting that most of you are actually saying that you need to build your own empire. Yeah, pretty much that. And we appreciate you for tuning in on this particular conversation. We have Trigger Mode saying, guys, you are so amazing. tuned in from Mombasa with my family, Nila, Minerva, and Raymond. We appreciate you, Trigger, and Wanjia Classic, and Roba Moa Singh that tuned in as usual. We appreciate you. Thank you for staying with us all the way till almost 10 a.m. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation. On behalf of Brian Sakwa and I, we do wish you a lovely day. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.